Welcome back to another deep dive. This time we're diving into a topic I'm really starting to get hungry for. You sent us a whole stack of stuff about Arepas articles, recipes, even some cultural pieces, huh? Looks like someone's been doing their homework.
Well, you can't really separate arepas from Venezuelan culture. It's a pretty deep dive.
And we are ready for it. But for those tuning in who might not be familiar, let's start with the basics. What exactly is an arepa?
Okay, so picture this. Imagine like a warm, kind of crispy pocket of cornmeal, right? But the inside, oh, that's where things get really interesting. We'll get to those delicious details later, though.
The sources you sent over really show how arepas are way more than just a food in Venezuela.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's this one article, right, and it talks about how back in the 1950s, during the dictatorship, people used arepas as, get this, a form of protest.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they'd use the fillings to draw like anti-government symbols on the arepas. It's incredible. Shows how food and politics, like culture and history, are all intertwined.
Wow, that's powerful. Food as a form of resistance. I love it. So let's go back to the beginning. One source mentioned roots going all the way back to pre-Columbian times.
Yeah, centuries ago. Imagine those communities grinding corn by hand, cooking these flatbreads on hot stones. Talk about ingenuity.
And it seems like those core ingredients, they've pretty much stayed the same, right? Corn flour, water, salt. Simple, but effective.
Exactly. But you see, the magic is in the method. The amasado, the kneading, that's an art form in itself.
Several sources did mention that. What's so special about it?
Traditionally, you use this rhythmic kneading technique, like a cupped hand, to create a well in the center. Makes the dough smooth, pliable, perfect for the arepa. And of course, every family have their own little, tricks passed down.
A culinary fingerprint, right? But it's cool how even this ancient food is being reinvented today. One article talked about vegan arepas using plantains or yucca flour.
Right. The arepa adapts. It really shows you how adaptable the arepa is. And speaking of adapting, it's amazing how popular they've become outside of Venezuela.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, one article even had the story about a Venezuelan family in, of all places, Italy. They were like sharing their culture through arepas at a farmer's market.
It's amazing how food can bring people together, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just small stories like that either. I mean, arepa restaurants are popping up all over the world.
Seriously. New York, Miami, even London, Tokyo, you name it. But what's really interesting is how the arepa is being like reimagined in these new places. It's not just about replicating the Venezuelan classic anymore.
Right. Like one article I saw had this incredible picture, right? It was a fusion arepa from this place in San Francisco. Bulgogi, kimchi slaw, gochujang aioli. I mean, wild.
Wow, that's quite the fusion. It just goes to show how versatile the arepa is. It can be like a nod to tradition, but still embrace these new flavors. But before we wander too far, I gotta know more about those traditional Venezuelan fillings.
Ah, the heart of the arepa. It's
Yeah.
like a culinary tour of Venezuela. You've got the classics like the reina pepiada, shredded chicken salad, avocado, cilantro. So good.
One article mentioned that the Reina Pepiada was actually named after Susanna Duvam, the first Miss World from Venezuela. Fit for a queen, I guess.
It's true. Then you have the regional varieties. Like from Zulia, there's the domino. They load it up with black beans, melted cheese, even a touch of sugar sometimes.
Ooh, sweet and savory. And the palua with the shredded beef and sofrito. And let's not forget the perico, the breakfast of champions, right? Scrambled eggs, tomatoes, onions, all in that warm arepa.
And of course, every family adds their own twist. But no matter what you fill it with, it all comes back to cooking the arepa just right.
Right. We talked about the amasado, the kneading, but the actual cooking method seems to vary.
Totally. In Venezuela, they often use a boudin, which is like a clay griddle. But people have gotten creative. Ovens, skillets, even waffle irons.
Whatever works, right? It's about resourcefulness. While we're on the topic of interesting things, what's something that really surprised you while reading about arepas?
Honestly, learning about how arepas are like this symbol of Venezuela around the world, it's sharing a culture, not just a food.
It really makes you think, huh, it's just cornmeal, but
Yeah.
it can spark so much curiosity, connect people from totally different backgrounds.
Right. Food is a powerful thing.
Totally. It makes you wonder, what are the stories behind other dishes? What can we learn about different cultures through their food traditions?
Absolutely.
What I find fascinating about arepas, though, is that even though they've been around for centuries, right, they're still so relevant today. It's like a blend of tradition and at the same time innovation,
Yeah.
especially with, globalization and all that.
No.
It's true. We've covered so much ground from those ancient kitchens to like modern fusion spots, all thanks to the arepa. What a delicious deep dive.
It really has been. And for our listener who sent us all these amazing sources, I have a final thought to chew on. If you could make an arepa, right, but one that tells your story, what would be in it? What flavors represent your own journey?
Ooh, I like that. A very personal arepa.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. A huge thank you to everyone for listening. And remember, keep exploring those fascinating corners of the culinary world. Until next time.